watch out for. So we're going to welcome in our live people, and we're going to start to see them scroll on in. You might even see who they are. And to start class with pranayama. So in pranayama, it's your breath work. It's where we start to bring ourselves to be very centered and very much present, where we are present on the mat. So I can see, yes, I can see some of you guys scrolling on in. Gorgeous. Welcome, welcome. So Gillian's on. Now as we settle in, you get to take 5 minutes to work through the breathing. And let's do that by allowing the breath just to simply come in and out through the nose. Nice and slow, nice and smooth, nice and steady. So we work through the breath. Perhaps we follow it in through the nostrils. We take it down the back of the throat. We feel that breath drop into the bottom or the lower lobes of the lungs. We're filling all the way up to the top. And when we exhale, we empty and we let go of all of the breath, just as slowly, just as smoothly as you did your inhale. Breathing in, fill the lungs from the very bottom, all the way up to the top, letting go on the exhale. Inhaling, filling the chest and the belly, rise and expand. And exhaling, filling the chest and the belly, deflate and contract back in. And we just notice that the breath isn't rushed. We take our time. We also see how evenly we can bring the breath in. So there's this absolute slowness to the breath. This is what creates natural rhythm to the breathing. Breath should always feel very natural, so we should never feel like it's uncomfortable or there's force or that there's strain to the breath. So you might even want to check in on the ends of each of your breaths, the end of your inhale or the end of your exhale. And just see that there's no sort of tension around the neck or the throat or even the facial muscles. There's absolute softness to the respiratory muscles, the chest, neck, throat. And the other thing that we should notice about the breath is that it should come with absolute ease. So again, it should feel really natural, really effortless. But there is length and depth to the breath. That's what we try to do in this pranayama, is to make sure that we are taking full, complete breaths. So we just notice here that your inhale and your exhale are going to be exactly the same length now. And when you've got that length, let's keep it. Let's set that into the memory bank. And we get to very, very slowly maybe wriggle the fingers and the toes. That starts to bring this awareness back to the room. Eyes might like to open and close, again adjusting them to the light of the room, and when you're ready, You could walk the feet in. If you were lying down or if you're already sitting, you're in the right space for me. And if you're lying, you're going to come up into a sitting position. This is going to be a seated cross-legged position. And it's going to start off into a sitting cross-legged, what we call cat-cow. Often we'll do this. So you guys can face whatever way you want to. You don't have to face me. So you can face inwards. This is my class people. Sitting cross-legged, hands will go onto the knees. Cat is rounding the spine and extending the spine. So we're going to do the same thing here. Exhale, round the back. Good. And then inhale, lift and lengthen. Okay, so the chin will go up towards the roof. And then exhale, the chin will drop down into the chest and will round the spine. So I want you to think, how would I do cat-cow on my hands and my knees? This is exactly how you do it here. Yeah. So rounding the spine, chin to chest, lengthening the spine, extending. So this is a really nice way to begin to awaken the spine and get some sort of subtle movement, particularly extension, this little curl back. You want to really follow it with confidence. It's almost like you're imagining that you're rolling. You've got one of those big gym balls in your back, and you're just letting yourself sort of curl over that big ball. Those stretches are really important, getting that openness to the chest and some work into the back. I'm going to make this one our very, very last one before we set the back into just like a little flat back. We're going to take our opposite hand. I've got my left hand coming onto my right knee. And we'll take a very simple, easy twist. Your right hand's going to sit around behind you. So keep that length in the spine as we breathe out. See if you can twist a little bit more for me. So inhale and then exhale, add a twist. So I didn't tell you what the theme of the class was. The theme of the class is slow yoga. Yeah, so we're going to do a relatively slower practice, and we're going to see if we can coordinate that breath with the movement. So in a twist, we inhale to always think of creating length. So it's like we've got this imaginary string in the crown of the head, and then the exhale, we can challenge, if we feel we're there, to go deeper into the twist. So we just use our hands and we spin ourselves around. So let's maybe try 2 more breaths. Inhale to get length, so we're lifting up through the crown of the head. Exhale, can you turn and twist a little bit more? We've got one more inhale. Lift and lengthen, exhale, go into the twist. Now as you come out of it, keep hold of your knee, unravel, send your right arm up towards the ceiling. Lean over to the left hand side. So one of the challenges for me teaching now, studio and live stream, is that I am using my right arm, but you guys think I'm using my left arm because when you're looking at me it looks like my left, but it really is my right. And the people on the camera, the way that they see it, because it's mirror image, they're seeing me use my right arm. Okay. So if you get a little bit confused in your arms or your legs, do not worry, because eventually, we come back around, we always find that other side. So sit your right sit bone down into the floor, and when you breathe out now, that exhale, that might send us a little bit further over. It's up to you. You go where you feel comfy. Wherever you feel comfy. Keep going, breathe out, soften into it. Inhale, sit into it. Exhale, feel yourself drop. Perfect. Let's come back up on the inhale. We get to change the legs. Okay, so whatever one you had in front goes behind. And we're good to take the opposite hand to the opposite knee. So it should be your right hand coming to your left knee. If not, it's the other side, whatever the other one was. Maybe I'll just say that. Go to the other side. Okay. Inhale for the length, exhale for the twist. Send yourself around. Breathe in, lift and lengthen through the crown of the head. Breathe out. Nice to see the trees outside, isn't it? Do you miss them? Seeing them in the studio?
No, it's good.
It's nice seeing some green.
Yeah.
I've got my view back again. Alrighty, let's go 2 more. Inhale, lift, lengthen, exhale, go for the twist. We get to go go, one more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, spin a little bit more. When we come out on an inhale, but we keep hold of the knee. Left arm goes up in the air, left arm comes over. We've got this side lateral bend. Okay, so arms snug into the ear. Come over to this right hand side. You can feel the temptation to want to lift off that left sit bone. So obviously we have to make sure that we're anchored down to that left sit bone as we head out here towards the right. So breathe in as we sit into it and we sort of cue ourselves, sit bone down. Exhale as we come over a little bit more. Good, exhale, soften into that right hand side. Breathe in to sit into it and I guess enjoy exhale as you come back over. Good. And then inhale as we come up. So my greatest fear was exactly what is happening in class at the moment. We have someone outside who's on their phone. I know who the person is and they own one of the shops here where they could be talking in their shop but no, and they'll have massive conversations. Because we've been in this class before where people have had lovely, very detailed conversations, have we not? I don't know if you remember them. Tony, I'm sure you would have. Because they'll sit on this little chair out here and the language could be very interesting sometimes and we all hear the whole conversation. We're all privy.
And they can see what we are too.
They can see that you're in here, yeah, and it's interesting that people are, they're not aware of what's going on around them. Now this isn't, we're letting gravity take us down here, so we're letting gravity weigh these knees down. So we're not bouncing, we're not forcing. So I had to make some decisions on what class I would film live and what ones that I would still keep at home. So Friday people, you could be trusted. Elbows in, come down. Let me put this way, my Wednesday 9:30 Pilates girls, they're naughty as naughty. I couldn't do it. Couldn't put those poor other Pilates people through it. So I had to come early and do a pre-record. Too much banter in my Wednesday morning class. This is a really nice way to open up through this channel here. So the area that we're actually stretching the inner leg, the adductors, are a muscle group that is also, when we refer back to traditional Chinese medicine, which we call TCM, is the liver line of the body. So if they were to do acupuncture or acupressure, this would be the line, the meridian line that they would work on. The good thing about a slow practice is that it also gives you a chance to, I guess, really observe what happens in that pose, and the fact that you've given yourself the time to sit into a pose. You see and you feel what happens. So we see here, does the knees feel like they're going to drop a little bit more, or does that intensity of that groin not feel so strong? Let that load come up, come off. We're going to go into, this is, bring your feet so they go flat onto the floor here. It's like a windscreen wiper, but in a seated position. And it eventually gets us into what we call a half pigeon. I tend to find when I do this that I wriggle and I end up partway off my mat. So don't stress if 1 minute you're thinking I'm on my mat and the next minute I'm on the floor. But what I have noticed is if I anchor down with my hands, it's helpful. You can do this so it goes like this, so it's like a hip, so it's sort of like a drop, and then the knees come back up and then they float to the other side. It's great if you can do it without the hands, because it means that you're not using your hands to do them and you're actually using your core. But if you do use your, I'm already partway off my mat. You can see how I'm starting to slowly come off my mat, okay, which is fine if you want to do that, but up to you. Okay. So it's basically letting our two knees drop to one side, and it's going to lead us into half pigeon, because can you see that shin bone's parallel and that thigh's parallel, and then it's really about getting mobility, into your hips, getting So it's what eventually we convert into half pigeon. Eventually get into half pigeon. So hip mobility. So it's nice to do it at a bit of a warm up first, because then when we actually do decide to go and really sit into it, it's shuffling along your mat, Claudine. I know. I don't know this. I did try to think about the logic behind it, but it all got too hard to wonder why I was moving so much. I was like, I'm not going to even think about it. Stay over on your left-hand side. Can you see how now we're in that little half pigeon? And if you're a little bit like me off my mat, then you can come on in. Half pigeon means this front shin is always parallel to the front edge of the mat. And the shoulders have to try and do that too. You can bring your hands on the floor and then start to just rotate your chest so it becomes more parallel to that front edge of the mat. Your goal really is to see, can I get that left knee close to the floor? Yep, my right bum's off the floor, rightly so. Okay, so don't stress that your this bum's come right up off the mat. That's totally okay. It's all about this front leg at this point in time. It's all about my left leg at this point. So around and twist, you might think, you know what, I could go down, but I might not. Okay, I might be very happy just to sit upright, and I can feel this, big deep stretch going into my left hip. If I think, you know what, there's not much going on here at all, then the only way you can start to explore more of the hip stretch is to bring your chest down onto the thigh more. Okay, but it's up to you. It's a half pigeon. Eventually, it's going to lead us into full pigeon. Yeah, eventually. Okay, but we'll do little halves, and we will definitely make sure we're warm before we go into full pigeon pose. Little sockies off. Good. So as we inhale and we come up, just do that same little knee float. So as you did in the prep, round, and it should send you. You'll be thinking, I am on the completely other side of my mat. Yes, you should be. You'll be facing completely opposite side. But the same principle we'll try to apply it. Shin bone in parallel to the front edge of the mat. Same deal, shoulders are square. If we feel like we can come forward, great. If you've got props like blocks, yep, you could rest your arms onto them. Or any kind of propping that you might have, you can use it. But remember, we're not too worried about how maybe awkward that back leg might be feeling or looking. It's more about what can I do with this front leg, this front right leg. Because that should be the primary focus of our stretch. Opening up our front right hip. So half pigeon's really good if you find that full pigeon becomes way too strong. I can do a little half version of it. I still get all this beautiful opening into my hip. I can really feel how my hip is stretching. That's what we're here for. Opening up that right hip. Alright, when you're ready to come back up, it's an inhale. We get to swing it round to the other side again. Okay, so go back, repeat your half pigeon. If that's where you want to leave it, perfect. If you want to take it into full pigeon, this guy here goes now out back. Okay, so it goes long out the back. I always find as soon as I decide to send the right leg out the back, it starts to play havoc with this front left leg. Okay. Realign it if it needs some attention. E.g., I just get my hand, I hold that foot in place, and I go again with that idea of square shoulders. You don't have to go all the way down. Same thing. You could block up, use some props, or use your hands if you didn't have your blocks to bring yourself into more of a stable base here. The emphasis is still back on this left hip though. We haven't neglected the fact that we're in a left hip opener here. My right hip's pointing down to the floor, so if I have straight legs, I'm just watching that my right hip doesn't open out to that right edge of my mat. I'm really focusing on this right hip rolling down to the floor, because our goal here is to think that the back of this pelvis is parallel to the ceiling. So I'm not twisted, my hip's not open, my hip is actually pointing down. And let's just use that nice, slow, steady breath here again. Okay, so nice full breath coming in. And just soften it into it on the exhale. Okay, these are tough hip stretches, but if we sit in them, we'll definitely notice the opportunity for them to release, to let go a little bit for us. So
pigeon. Come on up on the inhale. Now you can definitely just hang in here for me like this, if that feels the better option. If you know you can give me a little heel to bottom, yeah, you could bring your right knee to bend and it would be your right hand coming around to bring this right heel into the bottom. Now I know some people think, you know what, I can get to it, but there's absolutely no way I can like that. But if I rolled onto my left bottom cheek and I did it on the side, I could actually find that foot. Okay. So that might be a good option for some, yeah? And then sometimes what I find is when people can get it here, then they can use that left hand to spin them around and then they can actually come up. But it's up to you, yeah. But a heel to bottom is a really great quad stretch. A really great way to stretch out through the front of the thigh. Again, same principle, we've got to keep pointing that right hip down to the floor, making sure that we don't open it out because we really want to deepen this stretch. We really want to make sure we get into that quadricep. And definitely hip flexor happens here as well. Inhale, releasing the leg. Come over onto your left bum, yeah? So can we find that on the other side? So give me that same little spin number you did, yep. And then we're off into pigeon on this second side, which would mean this left leg, it goes out the back long. Again, if you want to take that option, your choice. Again, you could do anything from bolsters or blocks, but the right shin is parallel to this front little short edge of your mat. Your left hip bone, it points down to the floor. Okay, so again, up to you. You can stay in your little half pigeon, yep, or you can flip it back over a bit more. Left hip points down. So any hip stretch is really quite, or shall we say, taxing. That's where something slow and just working through your breathing is really, really important. Super important to make sure that we don't hold our breath when the poses get strong. We get to really soften the hips into it. Let's come up on the inhale. It could be a bendy left leg, so that long leg gets to bend. And this is often can often be a very different story on the two sides. Yes, so sometimes you know, I can do it on that first side, but whoa, it's a tough gig on that second side. So again, roll on your bum first if that's your best way of being able to find the foot. Roll, point the left hip down to the floor. Regardless of where we are, as long as we can bring a heel towards the bottom, then we're addressing some area of the thigh or some area of the quadricep. Nice, release the leg. Roll back on to your right sit bone, and this is double pigeon. I know, not a favourite, but you can use blocks or bosses as, so what do we have on the floor? We had right underneath. It would mean left coming up and on top, or it could be left coming onto the block, yeah, or your blankie or your towel or whatever. Elevation will make it, like, honestly, it wouldn't even matter if you had, you know, like I know people are using things like books at home as part of their propping system to be able to elevate. So it doesn't really matter. This in front is an easier option than up onto that knee. Yeah. So Claudine, you could probably see yours is hanging off the side a little bit. Slipping onto there. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So what you notice with this is that literally we're trying to think, can the two shins run parallel to each other? So I always think to myself, it's a little bit like two railway tracks. And that's how that they're sitting here. Or they're two railway tracks this way. Yeah. So my block could go, could go here. It's another hip opener. The whole idea is to get some stretch going on into here, into this top leg. So yesterday was my first day back in, you'll like this, Bev, in however many weeks for school sport.
Oh,
My
yes.
girls, my MSJ girls. So I got them to this, and one little girl, she says, oh, I can't do that. She goes, am I broken? I said to her, you're not broken, sweetheart. And then I proceed to tell them the story, because I say to them, no one gets out alive without a story from me. So I said to them, I was listening to this beautiful podcast yesterday. It was on, the actual podcast is called The Broken Brain. And it was about this man, and his mum realised something was wrong with him when he was really little, and his sight was going. And that was, it was saying it really worse by the time he was 8. By the time he got into middle school, so he was in the US, we'll change sides, guys. He lost all of his sight, lost full sight. He's 50 now. He has 2 children. One's close to my Belle's age. I think one's 18 and one's 20. He has climbed every peak in the world. Kilimanjaro, Everest, all fully blind. He became a school teacher, a primary school teacher. He phenomenal. Like, you just cannot. And I was saying to them, and so this is where the story came up, and I said to them, you know, so then he started all these beautiful foundations for people that were had lost, say, their legs in war and all the rest of it. And he has this beautiful, and he's taught all these people how to canyon and how to climb, and totally phenomenal. And he talked about being broken, and he said, you know, we're never broken. I think if you're broken and you didn't have your sight or you didn't have your legs, you'd think you were broken. And it's amazing what people can. Beautiful stories, people's strength, and what this guy does is canyons down the Grand Canyon, down rapids. He works all his strategies out on where he's going to position himself with absolutely no sight at all. Never seen his wife, never seen his children. But imagine. You can't fathom it, can you?
Amazing.
Totally amazing. All right, straighten up the legs. See, that took your pain away, didn't it? How clever was I? Up there for thinking. Straight legs. All right, take a breath in. You're going to come all the way to the front. Exhale. Chest to thigh, crowns the head towards the feet. Again, a beautiful pose. We call it Paschimottanasana, to delve into the slowness, because you might notice here that when you sit into this stretch, that the more that we sit in it, the more that the body starts to unfold and unwind and starts to soften itself a little bit. And how do we feel that or sense that? You start to notice your chest and your thighs getting a little closer to each other. And that gap between the trunk and the legs is a little smaller. No social distancing at school, Bev.
No, it's
No.
impossible.
No, the girls were happy to touch each other and push each other over and hug each other. And, impossible. And I said to the teacher, "Is this okay?" And she goes, "Yes." I said, "Well, I'm not going to go anywhere near them. I won't." She said, "But it's okay. They're used to touching each other. It's all good." It must be very hard, because when you live in your school world, you can be, let's call it normal, and just do whatever you want. But when you get out of that schoolyard, you have to be compliant with social distancing. It's a real hard mind switch, is it not? And breathing in, come on up. Slide the right leg long, bring your left ankle onto your right knee. Doesn't matter if you get all the wrong legs. And see how I've slid my right leg in so the foot goes onto the floor. You can slide it in as far as feels comfortable, but remember, as you slide in, you don't want it to throw you back. Yeah. So the leg will slide in. This is why we have our hands on the shin, to bring us in. Okay, we want to make sure that we've got that chest towards the face. It's another hip opener. This left leg is, again, it's wanting to sort of spring near us. So we're trying to think, can I sort of wedge it away? Can I bring it away from my body? So we call this the figure 4. I think we've
coiling, or almost. I'm looking at my run sheet, and we've just got a couple more hippie ones to do. You should see my stash of notes at home. So they're all on like, what do I say? Art paper, like they're special art paper. So they're about, I think they're called an A, what would they be, an A5 or something? Yeah, they're big. And I have them all bulldog clipped together, and I have rells and rells and rells of them. Going around. Yes. Well, they're doubled up because I write them first on in a notebook. I have a COVID note. I have several COVID notebooks. I dare not lose them. They're going to stay with me. I'm going to put them in a time capsule, I reckon. They're coming with me. And then from the paper version, then I write them onto a big version. Though I must say, Bev, you'll like this story. One of my girlfriends, she's a deputy principal at a local public school. And she said, we have files and files and files of COVID stuff. She goes, you know what my greatest joy will be? She said, I'm going to build the biggest bonfire. She said, I'm going to burn them all. She said, because we'll never, ever, ever need to do this again. Particularly when they had all the different phases, like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, or the study. I think they call them stages. And her school all of a sudden just skipped stage 2 and went to stage 4, and then it all went pear-shaped, and then it went to 6 or whatever it was. And she said all the work that they had to do all just went out the window. How she never had nervous breakdowns beyond me. The amount of work that they had to do to try and be compliant and bring everyone back. Huge challenge. Alrighty, there we go. Bring that left leg onto the floor. I'm not going to punish you. I'll go Lord of the Fishes. So rather than doing head of the cow, which flops the knees on top, let's go have the knee pointing up to the roof. So I've just got my left leg tucked underneath me and my right knee's pointing to the ceiling. So I've jumped this right leg over the top. Your left arm will hold your right leg. Yep. So again, like we did in that seated pose, lift up from the ground, send this right arm around behind you. So you're always twisting to the leg you're holding. Yeah. So if you've got different legs to me, that's okay. But twist to the same leg that you're holding. So if you're holding your right leg, you'll twist right. If you're holding your left, yeah, you'll twist left. And then inhale, we get to take the slow unravel. And then this same Lord of the Fishes will go on the other side. So if we just get the legs off, I then just spin my 2 legs to the other side. So my legs have now gone out to my left, and it would mean that my left leg's on top and I'm jumping it over. Therefore, the opposite arm, your right arm, it grabs your left leg and brings it into the body. Yep. So remember, the opposite arm holds the leg, but we twist to the same leg. Breathe out on that twist. And twist a little bit more on the exhale. So we tend to find, we know through science that the body will relax and let go on the exhale. With that in mind, that's when we always go a little bit deeper into a twist or into a forward fold, or if we want to delve a little bit deeper, we go on the exhale. Come out of the twist on the breath in. Release the legs. We're going to come onto all fours from here. This is cat-cow. Hands always sit directly underneath the shoulders, and our knees are always directly underneath our hips. So again, that we look at that sort of stacking and all what we call the alignment. Like you did sitting cross-legged. Exhale, round the back. And then inhale, flex, extend the spine, so going to chin up, tail up. So exhale, curl. That's where you use your belly on cat. And then you're using your back muscles on the extension into cow. Round back. Stretches the back. Extended back. Works the back. Okay, so it's stretching your belly when you come into cow. You get to work your belly. Yep. In cat. And you get to stretch the belly in cow. So let's see if we can go back into that synchronized exhale as we pull up. Inhale as we roll through. 2 more. Exhale, roll up.
flat back or just like a little tabletop back for me from here. Threading the needle, the right arm opens up towards the ceiling. So this is my chest is rotating. And then as we exhale, thread it under. And we're going to repeat it. So then breathe in, pull it out. And breathe out, tuck it through. Perfect. Breathe in, open it up. Yep. And nice big thread on the way through. Awesome, let's get 2 more. Inhale. And then exhale. Remember, we close down on the exhale, and when we inhale, it's usually when the body is opening up. Now, as we exhale and thread through, hang in here, turn your right palm down. It's probably on the floor, and in saying that gives you a nice big grip where you pull back. So we're gripping this right palm down onto the floorboards, but we're pulling the right shoulder away from this right hand. Okay, that's what gives you this really strong stretch in the back of this right shoulder blade. It's a really good way to open up that back. Now, if you feel like you can go to the floor, you might lower your head down to the mat, but don't forget about that same pulley kind of action. We still want to feel that I can pull my right shoulder back to the right edge of the mat. If your balance is okay, maybe that left arm gets to go up towards the ceiling. Okay, your choice. Some people think, you know what, I can lose the hand, I don't necessarily need it, but I don't feel all that good with it up. It could wrap around your back like we often do in some of our twisty kind of stuff, particularly if the shoulder's a bit dodgy and it doesn't really like it. If you're feeling a little brave, those people who don't mind doing a little leg extension out the back, which would be your left leg, you could literally just slide it out. Remember, you want to keep your core super strong if you're going to extend the left leg out. And then if you're feeling super brave, you might go left leg going into elevation, lift the left leg up. So these all just start to build on your core. If we've got anything off the floor, be it the arm or the leg, control it slowly back down onto your mat, because you're going to need that left hand to push you, to bring you out, so that you come back onto your all fours. Yeah, bring your knees in. So it should be our left arm opening up now towards the ceiling. So let's repeat. Inhale, open. And then that little thread through. Exhale, your left threads underneath your right. Go again. Inhale, open up. Exhale, thread and tuck. Yeah, good. Inhale, open. Exhale, thread. Inhale, body opens. Exhale, body closes down. 2 more. Breathe it in. Thread and tuck. Breathe it out. Go again. Inhale. Here's the one that we stay down. Yep. So that left hand comes through. Palm now goes down to the floor. Left shoulder pulls back away from the left hand. Feel how we get to open up the shoulder blade. That left shoulder blade here. So there's nothing wrong with staying here. In fact, it's actually a really good and it's a really strong stretch into the back of the shoulder blade. You can lower down, but you don't, as I said, you don't want to lose that idea of still stretching back and creating that opening to the scapula. The right arm goes up, or maybe around the back. These are all little options, or little variations, and then it would be our this right leg. It's the same arm, it would be the same leg. And if we do choose to lift that right leg, we want to make sure that our right hip is pointing down. Okay, as soon as we open that hip up, that's where it all goes pear-shaped. We start to lose our balance. Okay, so anything that might be lifted off the floor, arm or leg, gets to return back, because that's how we come and bring ourselves back onto the mat. Hands are underneath the shoulders. Now let's leave this right leg exactly where it is. It's out back. See if you can press back through the heel for me. We really want to get that calf into the equation. We want to make sure that it's well and truly stretched out and released. Send the right leg to lift about the same height as your hip. If it goes too high, it's going to force your hip open and it's going to go into a twist. And then active cat-cow is when your forehead and your knee pulls together. There's your exhale. And then coordinate it with the inhale, the leg extending out the back. And you can even lift the sternum a little bit there as well. So exhale, you curl back in as you were a cat-cow. And then cow pose. We also get the little option here of adding a push-up if we want to, or a tricep push-up I should say, in between. So up to you. If you want to do a little bend to the elbows and lower down to the mat, you certainly can. So now we bring the upper body into the equation as well. Okay, so there's some strength going on. So chin and straighten. And curl on in. Lengthen the leg out the back. Give me a little tricep push-up. It's optional. You might think, I don't want to do it every one, but I can do it every second or every third, or when I'm feeling like I want to. All good. Find one more for me, and then we can do this all over on the second side, which would mean the right knee comes back in onto the floor. We'll do a left calf stretch. We can't forget about the left calf. And press it back. Left leg stretch. And then we send ourselves away, off and running into. Good. Up it goes. And bring the forehead and the knee together for active cat. We'll do a couple without the push-up. Give these arms a little bit of a break. Curl in. Send that leg out the back. Good, good, good. Curl in. Send the leg out the back. Now anytime from here, if we want to add a little tricep push-up, we've got that there to use as well. Upper body, getting a bit of a warming up as well. Last two, exhale. A little push-up number if you want to do it. And here's your last one. Good. Now, tuck your toes under on your back, right foot. Lift your right knee off, and can you keep going for me into three-legged down dog from there? If not, come into down dog from where you were. And if it feels comfortable to go into three-legged down dog, then definitely. But if not, it's okay. Don't worry. You can just stay down dog for me. Close the heel into the bottom if you're in three-legged down dog. If you want to open up the hip into that hip opener version, go for it. If not, just leave yourself in your down dog pose. Okay, these are all thrown at you at all little options, all little variations. If you're in three-legged, watch what's going on in that right arm. Okay, it doesn't want to bend, it needs to stay strong and straight. Now we get to close the left hip down and bring the left knee to your chest. Check out where your hands are. That's where your left leg's going to step. Now remember, if it doesn't come in one big movement, you grab it and you shuffle it along, yeah? And you really try and bring the leg in by itself, okay? As long as you've got the ankle and the knee stacked over each other, this is our big, yeah, that's our big priority from here. Yeah. Low lunge. Press back through your right heel. Sink your hips. Yeah, so you really want to make sure that your hips are sort of pretty much dropping or thrusting downwards towards the floor. Okay. Drop when you're ready, very, very slowly, that right knee towards the mat. Yeah? So it's going to start us off into crescent of the moon. So again, keep letting your hips press forward, let them thrust forward, let them push towards the front part of your mat. Have your left foot really solid onto the floor so you've got stability for me here. If you can, let your left elbow come rest here on your left thigh, okay, which might then mean that your right arm can go up towards the ceiling. If not, some people just sit here like this. Now just have their two elbows, yeah, they're just elbows resting on their knee. It requires a little bit more balance, yeah, to have that right arm going up here. Tip out to your left, so a little tilt, yeah. And this can get tough on the old knees. This one, so definitely put some padding underneath those knees if you need it, for sure. And breathe out, bring your hands back onto the floor. We'll step back to down dog. The left leg goes back out there and it meets the right leg. We're back to those 2 feet in line with our hips. Remember, relax the head. It's nice and heavy between the two knees, between the two arms. And when you're ready to transition into plank, we're just going to take a breath in. Now, plank for some people might be moving over into plank, but then dropping down to the floor. Fine. Okay, you choose the plank version. That is best for you. As long as you're not sinking in your shoulders and you've got your armpits pulling away from the floor and your belly is also pulling away from the floor, that you haven't sunken into your back, then this is a perfect spot for you. You don't ever want to feel plank or a knee version of plank in your back, and if you are, then it means you're using it, and you need to make sure from here that your belly is pulling in and your spine is long. Okay, so even I'm not going to say tuck, but feel like you can draw your tailbone towards your heels. This plank is going down, yeah? So take your time. Super duper slow. It finds its way down towards the mat. When you get down to the mat, bring your left hand, grab your left heel. If that means for you rolling onto your side to do it, and I know some people have to get on their side first to get it, then go there. Okay, it doesn't matter, but as long as you can bring your heel to your bottom. This is for those of us who couldn't quite get heel to bottom in our pigeon, because again, that's not always easy to do. Let's find this into half bow. Can you bring your right hand underneath your forehead? And then as you lift up, lift your left thigh off the floor and try lifting your trunk as well, yeah? So the hand's going to stay attached to your forehead, your left leg's pulled up off the floor, and your foot's kicking into this left hand. And then breathe out, lower down. Let's go back and sync, yep, breath and movement. It'll be an inhale, always on the lift up. And then it'll be an exhale to come back down. So you might even anchor down through your right foot, so you might press your right toes and your right foot down into the floor. As you come up, that's going to stabilize that right side. Exhale on the head down. Inhale on the lift up. Exhale on the lower down. Let's find one more. And then we get to take the sequence onto the other side. So half bow. Release the left foot. Bring your hand back beside your ribs. Come to knees on the inhale. Continue back into down dog on your exhale. We're on the right hand side. So three-legged, if you did three-legged, it's three-legged on your right leg. Right heel can come into the bottom. Again, optional. The right hip might open up. But again, all very dependent on how steady, how stable, how strong you feel in your arms. You can start to feel how the arms want to buckle because they start getting tired here. So as we close it down, the hip comes in, this knee comes into your belly, you get to step all the way there to the very, very front part of your mat. What we know is our low lunge. Press back through your left heel, let your hips feel heavy. So I always say to people, imagine that I've got my hands here on the back of your pelvis and I'm gently pressing you down. Okay, so we don't want our tails, our bums wagging up in the air. We want our hips low. We want to press back through that left heel so that we can feel that almighty stretch through the hip flexor. Okay. Then we lower the back left knee to the mat. This then takes us into crescent of the moon. I didn't tell us on the first slide, but I will remind you here on the second slide. How do we get a bit deeper into this left hip flexor? This left leg. We feel like our left shin's pressing down into the floor, and or I've got hold of your ankle out there on this left leg, and you try and pull your hip towards the front edge of your mat. Okay, so my shin bone's pressing down, and my hip joint, or the front of that thigh, is pulling to the front edge of your mat. That's how you feel a little bit stronger. Now you can easy peasy leave it there, or you can go right hand onto the thigh. Two elbows could do the same, or you could make it a little bit stronger by adding that left arm, because remember this is creating length down this whole left hand side. So literally from my fingertips all the way down this left arm, down through the chest, down through the thigh, has become a lot longer. That's why I feel it more. If you're going to go for the lateral bend, you head it out to your right hand side from there. So my left arm snug underneath my ear. You could even put your right hand on the floor if you wanted to balance you. If you didn't want to have your right hand on your knee. Good breathing. Hands go back and they frame this right foot. Turn the toes under on the back left foot. Get ready for down dog again. This is what took us into that first plank. So when you're ready, take the breath into plank. Yep. Hold it. Pull belly up and in. Knees if we need it. And again, let's sit in this one with a bit of some slow, steady, nice, easy breaths here. Again, using the breath to help us stay here. And pop to the knees if we need it. Good. Ease it down. Slow, 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 slow. Control. We want to use those arms. When we're here, it's going to be left hand under the forehead, and our right hand should be holding our leg now. Yeah, so it's the same heel bump, but on the other side now. So your belly's all the way on the floor, and you've got your head having a little rest here at this point in time. The breathing to come and lift up here is an inhale. Remember to lift at the leg. Remember the foot's kicking into the hand, and then exhale, lower down. Take it again for me again. The breath in lifts, and the breath out lowers. Anchor down through this left leg. Okay, you don't want it flinging up off the floor either. So it presses down and the foot kicks away. And then inhale, we rest. Or exhale, we rest. Inhale, we work. Okay, so my back muscles are having to work to lift me off this mat. Good. Let's get 2 more half bows out and down. One last one, inhale. And exhale, good. Release the legs. Let's just go bend your knees. They can separate a bit. Remember the windscreen wipers we did when we were sitting on our bums? Let's go back, find windscreen wipers here. So that was half bow. If you feel comfortable finding full bow, hence holding on to the 2 feet, yeah? We can go into full bow. If you wanted to go back and just do the little half one, or you wanted to just basically stay into a quad stretch, okay, feel free to just sit into a quad stretch. Inhale will lift you. Exhale, remember, lowers you. Okay. Synchronize with the breath. Use the whole breath in to lift and to stay. And then the whole breath out to lower back down. Come up on the inhale. Come down on the exhale. Now you might like to, on this last one, stay up as a held version, but we always know when we hold it, we don't hold the breath. So if you can you lift and can you keep the feet pressing into the hands? Yeah, let's maybe say 2 more breaths. Can we do it? And then ease back down. Have your feet together, so your soles of your feet together, which might mean us needing to widen our knees. Lower this little diamond shape towards the floor, but don't let your bum flip up. Yeah, so as I lower down, I still want to feel the pubic bone still making contact onto the floor. This is, again, another hip opener that we work through. And there is absolutely no intention that these feet would get to the floor. When you're ready to bring your hands by your ribs, if we push up, we're going to find ourselves in a wide-legged child, so you've got a big V happening here. Sit yourself through. Press your hands into the mat to push forward and feel your chest sort of drop between those 2 legs. Whilst we're thinking heels and bum making contact, that may not be the case, that's okay. Breathe in, we'll slide the hands in, and we get to bring the chest up and away. The legs will come back into close. We are ready to prepare for Shavasana. Relax. If you're ready to head on down, you might need to put a layer back on or pop those little sockies back on. If you've got a bolster, use that underneath the backs of your legs, or even a little rolled up towel is perfect just to tilt the pelvis back into the floor. I know some people like a little pillow for their heads to rest on. But knowing that we go into 5 minutes of just quiet until rest time, we also really want to make sure that we are comfy whilst we're here. Worrying about how cold our little feet might be. Notice it as we settle in. Allow the body just to soften and relax into the floor, down into our mat. But we come back and we revisit the breath that we started class with.
very slow, methodical, rhythmical breath. It comes gradually in and out through the nose, slowing everything down, slowing your heartbeat, slowing the mind, calming the nervous system. Softening the muscles. And it's not uncommon that when we go into that full sort of state of relaxation, that we actually feel how the body almost sort of sinks or melts down and into the mat. Just relaxing, just softening, and just simply letting go. Just noticing that when we rest, when we sit in Shavasana, it's where all of the rebooting happens, so the body gets to recharge and renew itself. It's like the icing on the cake really, it's the reward for working, for stretching, for releasing. Just notice with the sound of the meditation ball, it slowly starts to bring our minds back. Perhaps we bring our physical body back by moving the fingers, toes. And then taking time, no rush, to roll over and make your way onto your side. No matter what side you choose, whatever side is right, whatever side is comfortable for you, and roll and we rest. So when we roll over and we rest, it's still part of Shavasana, it's still that quiet time, it's that contemplation time. When you're ready to come all the way up into sitting, we'll come and meet together with the hands here at the heart center, here at the chest. We always give thanks, we always give gratitude for our practice. And that's what Namaste means. It means I honor the divine light in you and in me. So as we gently bow, we'll finish with Namaste. Namaste. Friday morning, 9:30.
Thank you.
First day back for those in the studio. A beautiful day to go and explore.
Thank you.
Hopefully it warms up a little bit, hey? Goodbye to all of our beautiful little peeps watching us.